Once you file financial aid applications, there's a process of determining financial need. There's this thing called the EFC, or the expected family contribution, and it's determined by looking at the family's information, looking at the family's income, assets, number of family members in the household, number of family members in college, as well as the age of the older parent. Sometimes what happens when I'm presenting this workshop in person is we will get a question about whose information should be on the FAFSA. And so for most high school students, they are considered dependent students, with the small exception of some students who do not need to report parental information. The questions to answer to figure that out are all listed on the FAFSA and on the Federal Student Aid website, so you can find that information there. For a student who's considered a dependent student, it is both parents and student information required on the FAFSA. Which parents will be determined by who the student lives with. So if the student's parents, their biological or legal parents, live together, it is those parents that are on the FAFSA. If the student's parents are divorced or separated, the student will report the information for the parent they lived with the most in the last year. If it's a shared custody arrangement, then the student will report the information of the parent who provided more financial support in the previous year if the student lived exactly 50% of the time with each parent. There's more information that you can find on the Federal Student Aid website, and you can also ask a VSAC staff member as well if you have more questions about this. Once a family's EFC is determined and a student applies for financial aid at a college and is admitted, then a student is awarded financial aid. The family contribution is really the starting point, though, not what the family needs to pay. So in this example that we're looking at, we have one student who's applied to schools with 3 different costs. And for the sake of this slide, let's say that there are 3 colleges within Vermont. The EFC at each college is the same, but after that EFC, which is the building block, then need-based aid is determined. So we will have information about the Vermont grant in there, the direct loan for students, college financial aid, and then there's going to be an amount possibly of remaining need. That's the gap. And so the family will have to not only come up with this EFC that was determined as part of the financial aid process, but they will also need to meet that gap. Now, let me say here, that gap is a great place where students can be applying for outside scholarships and fill that gap in with outside scholarship money, which may increase their choices financially in this process.